Hey guys, happy Wednesday. For those of you confusing your days or all the days are running together, it is a Wednesday, so it is time for our weekly devotionals. Yay! Today we are looking at we are going to talk about the topic of grief. And normally when you think about grief, you associate it with grieving the life of a loved one. You are grieving the loss of life. And that's normally what you associate grief with. But today, in our new reality, in our new world, people are grieving things. People are grieving events and lifestyles and their life before this virus. And a lot of you youth, and I'm sure a lot of the parents too, and adults, you guys are probably grieving what it was like before all of this happened. And so I thought I would talk about this today because I am right there with you. I am grieving the loss of my job before this virus took place. I still have my job, it's just from home. But what I mean by that is just I miss how my job operated before this took place. It was much easier to plan and schedule things. I could schedule things months out. I could, work on details for events and get things done. And I could see my youth and my children face to face and minister to them face to face and in person, which I loved. And I just miss all of that. I'm just grieving that today. So I thought we would talk about it. So we are going to read in Matthew chapter 4, verse 18 through 22 today. And I will tell you why. When I woke up this morning and I thought about how I was grieving my lifestyle or my life, my job, before the virus took over, it made me think about the disciples, and it made me wonder, I know that's weird, but just wait. It made me wonder if they grieved the life they had before they met Jesus. And so I kind of wanted to take a look at that. So we're going to look at Matthew chapter 4, 18 through 22, and then we'll chat a little about it. Okay. As he walked by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fish for people." Immediately they left their nets and followed him. As he went from there, he saw two brothers, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John, in the boat with their father Zebedee, mending their nets. And he called to them. Immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. So what a lot of people don't know is that the disciples were actually teenagers. They were between the ages of 15 and 18 years old. They were not adults. They were teens. So when you know that information and you look at this story, it kind of takes on a whole new meaning. First of all, it's astonishing that somebody would drop everything to follow Christ. But then you add in the fact that they were teenagers, and it's even more astonishing. And when I read this, I think about the fact that so these guys were not fishermen for fun. They were not on a fishing trip with their cooler and their snacks and just out there enjoying themselves. They were fishermen to support their families, to help their families. This was their job. So to give this up and just follow Christ, and to leave their father and just follow Christ, that is huge. That's a big deal. So it just made me think and made me wonder if they ever grieved the life that they left behind for Christ. And so looking forward and looking at the disciples as they are following Christ in his ministry, you can kind of see sometimes when they grieve their past life. For instance, one of them asks if he can go bury his father first before he follows Jesus. So you kind of see these instances when the disciples are grieving their past life. But for the most part, the disciples fully immerse themselves in the ministry of Christ. I mean, they go hard on this new reality and this new reality that they have with Christ. They want to know everything about him. They want to learn everything they can. They sit as close as possible to him. They follow him everywhere he goes. They really immerse themselves in this new life with Christ. And so that just made me think that in today's world, as we grieve the things that we are missing and the things that we are not going to get to experience, like my seniors out there, and their new reality of not being able to experience graduation. As we grieve those things, I invite you to think of the disciples and to think about how the disciples handled their grief when they left everything behind and started a brand new life. I invite you to think about how they immersed themselves in their faith with Christ and how they just completely consumed everything about themselves with Jesus. And so I invite you, as you grieve during this whole thing, to kind of, work on that and maybe immerse yourself in your faith a little bit more each day. And I know that's really vague. So for instance, when you think about, oh man, I can't believe I'm not going to be walking across the stage at graduation. I cannot believe that. Maybe in that moment, get the Bible and read a passage, or you know what, go out, take a walk, and start praying and say, God, I am so mad about this, but I really hope that you help me to be closer to you and become closer to you and work on my relationship with you through all of this. Those are just some examples. I just encourage you to really try to work on your faith, because the disciples seem to be doing pretty well with that. Maybe they were onto something. The way that they grieved, the life that they completely dropped and left behind, seemed to work for them. So maybe it'll work for us. Try immersing yourself in Christ and immersing yourself in your faith, and let's see what happens. So I invite you to do that. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your week, and please check in with me on Sunday. We'll be doing some fun stuff, and I hope to see you then. Bye.